When Ben thought his drone prank would get a laugh, he never expected it to ignite a storm. Disregarding tradition, he unleashed a shower of confetti on James, the stoic royal guardsman. Instead of cracking, James's reaction left everyone stunned and set off a chain of events that would change everything. What happened next not only shattered Ben's arrogance, but also reignited a forgotten respect for heritage. Bright morning in London. The iconic red London Guardsman, impeccably dressed, stood tall by Buckingham Palace against a backdrop of overcast skies. James Stone, a stoic member of the Royal Guard, held his position with unwavering pride. His sharp eyes scanned the crowd. Tourists snapping photos, kids reaching out to touch his bearskin hat, and the occasional mocking shout, "Hey man, smile for the camera!" James maintained his disciplined stance, ignoring the petty provocations. He was a living symbol of British tradition and culture, a role he took seriously. Among the crowd, a group of young tourists stood out, clearly testing his patience. Leading them was Ben, a smug young man with a smartphone perpetually in hand. "Do you even know what relaxation means?" Ben taunted, loud enough for others to hear. Seriously, who does that? It's like they think his uniform is part of the backdrop for their selfies. James kept his composure, eyes never leaving the palace. Inside, though, irritation simmered. How could these tourists disrespect something so sacred? Ben wasn't alone. His friends laughed and egged him on, trying to push James out of his stoic demeanor. One tourist reached out to grab James's hat, clearly ignoring the strict no-touching rule. "Come on, lighten up! We're paying good money to see this," Ben continued, his tone dripping with entitlement. "We all know the Royal Guard isn't here for their amusement." James took a deep breath, his jaw set firmly. The tension was palpable, the crowd divided between amusement and disapproval. Some whispered, "Why can't they respect the traditions?" while others chuckled, filming the unfolding drama for their social feeds. James stood tall, the embodiment of honor amidst the chaos. He didn't respond, but his stance said it all. Respect is non-negotiable. As Ben pushed further, trying to elicit a reaction, James's patience was visibly wearing thin. This wasn't just about a few jokes. It was a blatant disregard for centuries-old customs. The stage was set. Tradition versus modern disrespect, embodied in a single guardsman and a group of entitled tourists. And as the morning sun struggled to break through the clouds, the inevitable clash was just around the corner. Hours dragged on, and the group of tourists became relentless. Ben and his crew started tossing coins at James' feet, laughing as they clinked against his polished boots. "Hey, royal guy, make it rain!" Ben shouted, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Seriously, who thinks throwing spare change is funny? It's like they believe his uniform is just a prop for their amusement. One tourist, eager to up the ante, reached out to snatch James's iconic bearskin hat for a selfie. "Come on, bro, just one pic," he demanded, ignoring the clear signs. James maintained his stoic expression, gently stepping back to prevent the hat from being taken. "We all know the Royal Guard isn't here for their entertainment. This is beyond disrespect. It's a blatant disregard for tradition." Ben wasn't satisfied. He pulled out his phone, pointing it at James while saying, "You know, you could use a smile. Lighten up." The crowd around them started to split. Some laughed, finding the antics amusing, while others frowned, sensing the disrespect. "This is ridiculous," whispered one onlooker. Another snapped photos, already preparing to share the chaos online. As tension built, Ben's friends egged him on. "Let's see how he handles this," one joked, nudging Ben. The guard's patience was clearly wearing thin, his jaw tightening ever so slightly. Suddenly, Ben pulled out a drone from his bag, grinning like a kid with a new toy. "Watch this," he declared, launching the drone into the air. Everyone held their breath as the drone hovered above James. Seconds felt like minutes before it swooped down, releasing a cascade of bright confetti directly onto the guard. The crowd erupted into a mix of laughter and boos. "What the hell, man?" someone yelled. James stood his ground, meticulously brushing the confetti from his uniform, every movement calm and controlled. Inside, though, his frustration boiled. How hard was it to respect a symbol of heritage? The absurdity of the situation hit hard. Here was a man dedicated to upholding centuries-old traditions, reduced to a target for a juvenile prank. "Seriously, you think this is funny?" James finally replied, his voice steady but edged with irritation. The crowd fell silent for a moment, the gravity of his response sinking in. Ben's smirk faltered as he saw the shift in the onlookers' reactions. The fun was over. "Come on, guys, it's just a bit of fun." Ben tried to laugh it off, but his friends looked uneasy. The crowd's mood had shifted from amusement to condemnation. Social media feeds were already lighting up with clips of the drone stunt, and the backlash was immediate. "This is beyond disrespect," one commenter wrote. "How dare they treat tradition like a joke?" James stood tall, the embodiment of honor amidst the chaos. The tourist's entitlement clashed sharply with his unwavering dignity, highlighting a deep-seated disrespect for cultural symbols. As the confetti settled, the crowd's divided reactions became more pronounced, setting the stage for what was about to unfold next. Just when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, chaos struck. A little girl lost her balance on the crowded crosswalk, teetering dangerously close to the edge. Without a second thought, James sprang into action, grabbing her arm and pulling her back to safety. The crowd froze, eyes wide, watching the Guardsman's swift move. "Whoa, James, what's your hurry?" Ben sneered, suddenly realizing the gravity of the moment. His friends fell silent, faces shifting from smug to uneasy. James crouched to steady the girl, his uniform now splattered with fresh confetti. He glanced up, catching the drone still hovering above. With a wry smile, he quipped, "Looks like even drones want a piece of our tradition." Classic James, using irony to diffuse tension. Applause erupted from the crowd. Phones whipped out, capturing the heroics. Social media exploded as videos of James saving the girl went viral overnight. Comments flooded in. "True hero! Respect the gods! Tourists need a lesson." Meanwhile, Ben and his crew stood exposed, their earlier bravado deflated. "Guess they don't see us as part of the decor anymore," Ben muttered, his entitlement crumbling under the collective disapproval. The tourists who once laughed now watched in embarrassment as the crowd rallied behind James. It was a swift reversal. One moment they were mocking, the next they were ridiculed. James helped the girl back onto the sidewalk, brushing off the confetti with grace. He nodded to the applauding crowd, a silent acknowledgement of their support. The little girl hugged his arm, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. Ben's group, now the target of scorn, slunk away, their disrespect laid bare for everyone to see. "Well, that escalated quickly," one of them mumbled, the irony not lost on the onlookers. James stood tall once more, his presence commanding respect. The contrast was stark, his unwavering honor against their fleeting disrespect. The morning's tensions had transformed into a display of true dignity, leaving no doubt who the real hero was. As the sun began to break through the clouds, casting a golden hue over Buckingham Palace, the crowd's admiration for James solidified. He wasn't just a symbol of tradition. He was a beacon of integrity in a world increasingly indifferent to its roots. The unexpected turn had not only saved a child, but also reaffirmed the importance of respect and honor in the face of modern chaos. After the viral video, London authorities acted swiftly. Ben and his crew were escorted away from Buckingham Palace, slapped with hefty fines for their blatant disrespect. Social media exploded with support for James, labeling him a modern-day hero. "This is beyond rude," one commenter wrote. "Respect the traditions." James straightened his bearskin hat, a slight smile breaking his usually stoic expression. He returned to his post, the crowd now buzzing with admiration. A passerby holding a water bottle remarked, "Here's a real hero," echoing the sentiment of thousands online. The atmosphere shifted palpably. What was once mockery turned to applause. James's actions had restored the reverence for the royal guard, reminding everyone why these traditions matter. His dignified response and subtle humor dismantled the tourist's entitlement, showcasing true honor over fleeting disrespect. As James resumed his stance, the crowd's respect was unanimous. Tourists who had once jeered now watched in awe, some even apologizing. The restoration was complete. Tradition upheld, dignity preserved. James wasn't just a guard. He was a symbol of integrity in a world quick to forget its roots. With the sun breaking through the clouds, casting a golden glow on Buckingham Palace, James stood as a beacon of honor. Light-hearted banter and a touch of sarcasm had softened the tension, proving that true strength lies in maintaining respect and tradition, no matter the provocation. The story ended on a high note, celebrating the enduring spirit of the Royal Guard and the importance of honoring cultural heritage.